hello, wherever you are. Welcome to another edition of Red Debates, where we tackle issues that affect us Africans. And today is day 3 of our Red Debate competition. So we are here with the two teams that are really battling out for something that has been really kind of plaguing our education systems in a way. And it's kind of a thing on the fence with this one. So let's jump into it and let's engage. So today's topic is should African countries prioritize revising their education systems to focus more on local histories, cultures, and languages? So a bit about this topic. This debate explores whether African education systems should place greater emphasis on indigenous histories, cultural knowledge, and local languages rather than relying heavily on colonial era curricula and foreign languages. So it's basically about should we put our own African languages into the system or not? So I will first start with I will start with Team Angola, who supports the motion, in other words, says yes to the question. And then after that, we'll go to Team Ethiopia, who opposes the motion, actually saying no. Okay, so Team Angola, please let us begin with your opening statements or opening arguments.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to start with a simple question. How can we know who we are without knowing our roots? Honorable judges, respected opponents, and everyone present today, I stand here proudly representing Angola and supporting this motion. And yes, African countries should prioritize revising their education system to focus more on local histories, culture, and language. For a long time, African education systems have been shaped by colonial legacies. Many of our schools still teach history from an external perspective, where Africa appears only as a background or a problem. But this is not Africa, not as a place of innovation, resistance, and knowledge. This creates a generation of young Africans who know more about Europe and outside than about their own communities. Now, we have here strengthened identity and cultural pride. Local history transforms abstract narratives into personal stories. Students see themselves as a part of a continuous legacy of excellence. Pre-colonial civilizations like Mali Empire, Kingdom of Congo, and Great Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe showcased sophisticated governance and advanced societies. Now, by prioritizing local histories, we give students a sense of identity and belonging. When a young African learns about pre-colonial kingdoms, about our pride, about our struggles and achievements, they grow with pride, confidence, and self-respect. Education should not make students feel small in their own lane. Culture is also essential. African cultures carry values like community respect for elders and collective responsibility. When these values are included in education, schools do not only produce workers, they produce responsible citizens who understand their role, who they are in society. So now, let's go for our data. We have language as the gateway learning. UNESCO says children taught in mother tongue are 30% more likely to read with comprehension. Cognitive alignment allows focus on content mastering rather than linguistic decoding. So, language is another key point. Many African students start school in a foreign language they do not speak at home. This creates fear, low participant, and poor perform. Teaching and learning in local language, especially in early education, improves understanding, respect, inclusion, and academic success. Language is not just a tool, it's a bridge between knowledge and learning. Thank you so much. I'm proud to propose.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Luzolo. Team Ethiopia, your opening argument, please.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for giving me and our team Ethiopia the chance. The topic is should African countries prioritize revising their education system to focus more on local histories, culture, and language? Well, our or my opening statement is mainly based on 10 core points. Mostly, first is a global standard barrier. Our most the medicine, aviation, and the engineering firms are mostly they use international curriculum and international language, mostly English, and diverting from this lane or from this direction is a huge barrier. The second core point is the economic exclusion. If you are persistent on sharing past norms and values, which I'm not that much against, but still, it will create a fragmented local areas, and this will the main goal is to make the world a one community or a one entity. So there will be a sure economic exclusion in the fate of this thing. The third one is a digital divide. Most coding languages use C, like C++ or Python. You mainly use English as the language of instruction. So they translating each such the English language for coding into local language might create a wider gap, as there will be some kind of lagging. The fourth one is again, in addition to the digital divide, the prohibitive costs. In my team defense, we consider, or I consider, such translatory costs as a prohibitive cost, because translating every physics, chemistry, or calculus writings is deemed to be prohibitive cost in my defense. Thus, the fixed and the hope not by order, but fixed one order of preference, but there will be risk of ethnic fractionalization. For example, in countries such as Ethiopia, there are multiple. We are a multi-ethnic nation, so there are more than 80 ethnicities in the country. So leaning to one local language over the other might make the situation more fragmented. So continuing the previous English-based system might prove good in my defense. I will continue the other remaining 5 core points on the maybe on the rebutting or on the rebuttal or other times. Thank you for the chance.
Okay, thank you, Ahmed. Okay, so thank you, teams, for your opening statements. Those were really convincing and really thoughtful. So yeah, it both your opening arguments have a good point there. You want to, on one side, you want to preserve the history and the culture, but on one side, you want to keep up with the times. So again, it's a bit of a mix there. So with this, I want to throw in a question for all of you guys. Could teaching in local languages improve learners' academic performance and comprehension levels? So I repeat the question. Could teaching in local languages improve learners' academic performance and comprehension levels? So I will start with Team Angola. Your thoughts. Firstly, your thoughts about what Team Ethiopia said, and then the answer to the question. Luzulo, go ahead.
Yes, okay. Team Ethiopia said something that I would like to repeat as a question. This is a question opposing me, but I would like to ask this question. Africa has many languages. Won't prioritizing local language divide countries instead of uniting them? So, personally speaking, unite does not require erasing diversity. Today, I'm here saying yes. I'm the preposition. Many multilingual countries are stable and united. When students feel their language and culture are respected, they feel included in the nation. Exclusion creates division, inclusion creates unity. This does not mean rejecting global knowledge or international language. African countries can balance both. Can we? We can, of course. We can teach science, technology, and global history while grounding students in who they are and where they come from. A strong identity does not only insulate us, it prepares us to engage with the world with confidence. In inclusion, my answer, revise an education system to focus on local histories, culture, and language is not a step backwards. It's a step towards dignity, relevance, and sustainable development. Africa cannot build its future while forgetting its roots. So we have here a data that I forgot to say. Mozambique, 50% increase in school success rates with multilingual education. When instruction is delivered in a familiar language, students demonstrate significantly more active participation and interactive discourse. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Team Ethiopia, your thoughts on what was shared and also your answer to the question. Yes, Harit. Yaret, sorry.
Thank you, CPA. Okay, let me start with the language part our Angola colleague shared. When we talk about the language, my friend already mentioned that the curriculum system that we are following, particularly in Ethiopia, when we talk about Ethiopia, we are learning in local language at primary level. So the reason we are opposing this dynamic shift is that if we change all things, considering all on the culture, that will need further economy and time, and there are a lot of consequences. Maybe to add on the points raised earlier, we can see this major shift in terms of economic development because the priority is universal skill. Africa needs to be competitive at global level. We have to think globally and act locally. When I say this, I'm not opposing learning by my own language because we are learning in local language at primary level, but at high school level, we are still using the international language like English, for example. Ethiopia's practice is that we start learning all the subject in English starting from grade 9 up to 12. So in terms of economics, we need mathematics, science, digital library, critical thinking. Those are the terms we are dealing with to compete at the global level. And the other one is the risk of education isolation. He already mentioned that the economy is interconnected. So if we shift all to the local cultural content, we might lag behind again. So we are still behind to some extent on some points. So the language can deepen inequality. local language instruction benefits, as I said earlier, in early learning, but we do have a lot of language in Africa. Urban and rural language realities differ at some point. Overemphasis on local language can has a lot of disadvantage. Even though there is advantage, but the disadvantage is huge, because who determines which culture needs to be the center, and who determines this language needs to be the official language and others? These are the kind of issue we are struggling with here in Ethiopia. So whenever we plan to shift something, it's good to plan, but dramatical change will have a lot of consequences, and that needs to be addressed. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Vera, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm from Team Angola, and I support the motion of that we need, it's urgent that we need to revise our educational system, you know, in order for sustainable development. So we need that. And many scholars already defended that kids do learn more when they are taught on their own language. So we need to be, you know, when a kid is taught in his own language, so the kids understand much better, and there is improvement in terms of academic performance. Meaning that we need to be taught mathematics in our own language. We need to be taught geography in our own language. We need to be taught science in our own language. So we come already from home with a background of this language knowledge, and then when we go to school, we just add the science, the mathematics, what in our own language. So therefore, that a kid being taught in his own language do understand much better, and then that improve academic performance. That's something very important that we need to focus. And the other thing is that's why in nowadays we have many youth that are qualified, they have diplomas, but they are still at home, they are unemployed. Why? Because the education systems only taught them that they need, you know, the government needs to give them job, they need to search for job. So, and then meaning that the curriculum, the programs that we have, some of these programs were only copied from the West, and they do not reflect our reality. So therefore, it's urgent that we need to revise. I think I made my first point.
Okay, thank you, Vera. Okay, guys, lots were shared from both teams. Now I wanna know your thoughts on this topic, and also the question that was shared. What are your thoughts? Should it be changed according to the local languages, or we just leave everything the way it is? So I wanna know your thoughts. What are your thoughts on this topic? Anyone who would like to share, they can just raise their hand, or text it in the chat box. Okay. Okay. Yes. Go ahead, Jared. Go ahead.
Maybe I only raise to highlight one point. The either culture, language, those needs to be the part of the curriculum, not the driving point of the education reform. They can be part of the curriculum, but if we only depend on them, that is not a concrete solution, I think.
Okay. Good points there. Yes, Mr. Tom. Mr. Thomas.
Thank you to everybody for the contributions that you made. It's an interesting range of opinions. To add my little piece on it, we started off, the first presentation was concerning the question of teaching people their local history. I'd be inclined to support that as an essential element. I think if you're looking at history, you should bear in mind that the expression that charity begins at home, and I think history begins at home too. And it's always worthwhile for people to learn their own local history, their village, their town, their state, their country, and build it up from there. You could probably also say their family history too. It's always a bit of a surprise how often people don't really know much about their own family history. Those things are all very well worth talking about, because you can't know everything, and it's worthwhile to start that at least you have an understanding of the things which are concerning you and your environment, and from there you can then draw broader lessons about good and bad individuals, societies, and things like that. But starting off at a local point of view, I think, is always a good idea. Obviously, you end up with the question, if you're discussing African history, that sooner or later you may start off with the Kingdom of Mali, but at some point, if you go on long enough, you're going to run into the colonial past. But that's just the nature of these things. I think it is tremendously valuable to understand your own history outside of colonial history, and then interpret colonial history as you see it from there. The only other thing I would say is I think it's probably been established that people, certainly at primary school level and as they're acquiring reading skills, do so more quickly if they're having to read a language which is their mother tongue. So I think it clearly makes sense to support that. I think the only problem, which I think has been alluded to, is if you are in a country when you have a lot of questions about which is the right mother tongue to choose, that gives you some difficulty. Other places have had to choose a neutral common language, which, okay, it solves one problem of how do you deal with 30 children in a class who don't all have the same mother tongue. I think in those circumstances, the educationalists will have to work it out a little bit, case by case. It would be desirable for everybody to go and have their primary school tuition in mother tongue. They can then acquire foreign languages as they're going. I mean, it is the case that just about everybody in Africa speaks 4 or 5 languages anyway, as far as I can figure out. They can probably get along with it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tom. Thank you for your points. Okay, let's take one from one thought from the audience member, and let's go back to the teams. So, Khaolate, you can speak. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who's here. I have been listening quite intently, and I am very excited about the perspectives from both teams. But I just wanted to say, if we ditch colonial the education system that came with the colonialism, and we stick straight with the African things that we would like to teach, your Ubuntu, your cooperativeness and sense of community and all of that, would we be sitting here right now having this debate? We probably wouldn't, because we would not be able to hear each other. So it's quite important that we pick what we can and kind of combine everything together so that we have a little bit of both that can advance the student forward. We wouldn't be able to hear each other right now because I would be speaking in Setswana, which is a language spoken in Botswana, and we wouldn't be as united as we are as a continent if we decided to stick to what we only know. So having this language thing that we are able to communicate with each other from wherever you could be coming from, it helps us to stay united and to also look out for trouble before it comes and communicate with each other better. So I think we should try and go hybrid somehow. So thank you so much for that.
Okay, thank you, Khaolate. Thank you for your points. We have a response in the chat box, so let me just read that real quick before we get to the teams. So Edward from Rwanda says, Here in Rwanda, we have a proverb that says, "You cannot know your destination without knowing your roots." I strongly believe that as Africans, we must focus on understanding and learning from our grassroots. For example, in educational settings, teaching in local languages can greatly support learning while also preserving and promoting the culture and heritage of a country and of Africa at large. So those are the sentiments from Edward from Rwanda. Thank you for your perspective. Okay, so now let's go back to the teams. Lots was shared from the audience members, so I'd like to know your thoughts on this. Let's go with Team Angola first.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Of course, um, my first language is Portuguese. Unfortunately, I don't know how to speak my mother tongue. In Angola, we have Umbundu and Kikongo. I am learning now Ubuntu with my mom because it's really important. My grandmother does know how to speak Portuguese, so I cannot talk with my grandmother and to learn our culture properly because of the language, of course. And I am here talking with you because of English. English is my second language. Now, with my age, I am caring about learning my mother tongue, which is Ubuntu. Now, we have here Team Ethiopia said a lot of things about STMs and so on. We have here numbers. 60% of learning in STM depends on reading, comprehension, and conceptual understanding. Students who understand concepts in their first language transfer knowledge to STM subjects faster. 40% of learners globally are taught in a language they do not fully understand, limiting STM performance. AI and digital skills require problem solving and critical thinking, not only English fluency. Countries with strong foundation literacy show higher adaptability to new technology. Prioritizing local language, strengthening STM foundation, and strong foundations are exactly what AI and technology require. Now, my brothers and sisters, this number shows that decreases in Africa education is not access. It is quality. Teaching in unfamiliar language limits understanding. AI, technology, science, and whatever we can say here, future jobs require comprehension, critical thinking, and problem solving. Strong foundations in local language improve learning outcomes and prepare students to adapt to global technology. Now, for decades, African education system have been structured around external narratives, foreign stories, and language that often ignore the reality of the students sitting in the classrooms. This has created a gap between education and identity. Many of us here, we have education, but many of us don't have identity. Prioritizing local histories, culture, and language means making education relevant. When students see their own stories, traditions, and language reflected in what they learn, education stops being abstract and stress and starts becoming meaningful. This prioritization does not erase global knowledge, no, because we know that we need English to understand many things in this world. Education is not only about transferring information, it's about shaping identity, confidence, and belonging. A system that ignores local culture produces designed learners. A system that values local culture produces empowered citizens. By prioritizing what is local, African countries invest in dignity, inclusion, and social cohesion. These are the foundation of any strong education system and any sustainable development model. For these reasons, I truly believe that African countries should prioritize revising their education system. Now we have here some numbers. Education, language, and the future of work. 40% of learners worldwide do not receive education in a language they understand well. In low and middle income countries, this reach up to 90% of learners. Children educated first in their mother tongue are about 30% more likely to achieve literacy proficiency. 31 out of 55 African countries have already adopted bilingual or multilingual education policies. Less than 20% of African students reach minimum reading proficiency despite high enrollment rates. And thank you. I'm proud to propose.
Okay, thank you, Luzulu. Okay, let's go to Vieira. Please keep it short and brief so that we can hear from Ethiopia. Oh no, first, I think let's go to Team Ethiopia before you say your point. So, yeah, Team Ethiopia, your thoughts so far? I think someone's hand was raised. Yes, Aman, go ahead. Hello?
Am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible. Go ahead.
Okay. To answer Luzolo Sadupo question, she I think she asked on her first debating point on the rebuttal. She asked that does teaching local language create a divide rather than unity? She kind of triggered equation that's not yet answered, so I will try to answer it. I think she wrote that idea because of my topic point 5, which was risk of ethnic fractionalization. What she may not know is Angola. I don't know very much detail about Angola, but in countries like Nigeria and Ethiopia, let's talk about Ethiopia. We have over 80 ethnicities in the country, so it's not just 3 or 4 languages we are talking about. It's more than 80, more than maybe more than 100. So I'm talking about that on nations which have multiple ethnicities. That's why I raised point number 5, which was the risk of ethnic fractionalization. For example, if we try to increase Amharic or some kind of ethnicity, some kind of language, and impose on other ethnicities, they might consider it as why not us? It's just kind of trigger a jealousy. So and could lead to possible civil war. Even language can lead to that because one over dominance can create that. That's why if she can elaborate on this matter afterwards, she can. And to ask Vera made a point that he tried to link the opportunities with our focus of topics. The topic is about language, history, and culture, not about our kind the English or the Western kind of Western based curriculum. Does not say that you should not teach agriculture in a better way. He said that most of the Africans who have graduated are unemployed. That is the problem of the African leadership. Don't you think so? So it doesn't. I don't think it has much pertinent relation to the topic we are discussing. the Western or the English-based language curriculum does not say that. Okay, your time is up, and I have one question again to Adolfo. To Lozo Adolfo, she said that her grandmother does not speak Portuguese, but she's kind of learning her new language in Angola, and she isn't now. She has been fluent in Portuguese, but Thomas has said one thing: learning your history starts from your family. He said that you'll be surprised by what you don't know about your from your family. So you should have started earlier, and I want to make that point. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so lots to unpack here. So I'll start with Vieira, and then after Vieira, let's go to Luzulo.
Okay, thank you once again. I heard the comments that were made. I just would like to point number one. I heard many people they said we have many African language. Which language should we adopt? Okay, that is so easy. We should focus on what we call regional dominance. So we focus on the language that is dominant at a particular region. So then we solve that problems there. We have many language, yes. We focus on the north part of the country. Which language is dominant there, our local language. So then we put that language in our curriculum and our education system. Now the question is, we learn much or we learn already more from English, from French, from Portuguese. We need to come back home and learn our history in our own language. We learn our culture in our own language. So the issue of language, culture, in history, it's very important. We should come back to Africa and focus on that. Write more books on our own language because our fathers, forefathers, and grandfathers are going, and tomorrow we will be left without any history for us to count. So it's time for us to start, giving more value to what belongs to us. To what belongs to us.
Okay, thank you. And let's go to Luzulu, and then we'll go to the audience.
Okay. Okay. Ethiopia say that I didn't answer their question, but I did. So I will answer again about a lot of language that we have in our continent. Africa has many language, and our fear is that if we just learn or prioritize our language, so are we going to be divided? No. Unite does not require erasing diversity. Many multilingual countries are stable and united when students feel their language and culture are respected. They feel included in the nation. Exclusion creates division and inclusion creates unity. I would like to share a story. Last year, if you see in my screen, last year I was in China. I participated in International Young Forum about culture, education, and creativity. And there I was the unique. I was, you see there, we there Africans. I was the only one who didn't know how to speak my language. Because I would like to share a personal story. In Angola, they don't teach us our language in schools because the most of people in our government they are not from Angola. They are foreign. They are from Portugal. They are from São Tomé and so on. Even my president, he doesn't know how to speak any language from our country, like Umbundu, Kikongo, and Umbundu. In Angola, we have 20 language, Umbundu, Chokwe, and so on. But I'm learning now my language because I'm interesting. And Team Ethiopia said something about learning history from my family. It's okay. But my great grandmother and my grandmother, they have experienced the war. So if I want to understand the culture, because in Angola, our culture is dying. Because here, our language, they don't teach us in schools. If I am with this age, I'm trying to learn my language. It's a blessing. So I'm trying to learn to know more about our culture and to know more what happened in those days. Because all the things that happened in that those days, they are not right in Portuguese because Portuguese it's not my language. English it's not even my language. So let's go to this slide.
Oh,
We
sorry,
have
sorry,
here,
sorry, sorry, Luzul. I'm gonna have to cut you short there. We are almost out of time.
okay,
Okay, so
okay,
we'll come back to you. We'll come back to you. Let's just go to the
Can I speak?
audience.
Can I speak now? An immediate rebuttal for her, if I may.
Just a moment. Okay, yes, go ahead. But please, let's keep it
Okay.
short
okay,
because we still want to.
She said that English and Portuguese are not my languages. I think this kind of rhetoric is very dangerous. She's using them. One participant, I think by the name Golate, I think from Botswana, raised an important issue. May, we need one or two languages that we can communicate globally. So those two are not my language. It's kind of harsh to say that because you are communicating with it, with us, with the language you are provided. So I just want to note to make you to note that. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, noted, noted, noted. Okay, thank you guys. Let us
okay.
pause there for a second. Okay, so we have some comments in the chat box. We have some raised hands. So I will just keep them short. Okay, so Nicole from Uganda says, speaking from an angle of where Africa has been recognized after a long time, African countries should not overly prioritize local histories, cultures, and languages. Global, global competitiveness may be affected, may be affecting English, French, and other international languages dominate global business, science, and technology. Focusing too much on local languages may disadvantage students internationally. We are the same people who have been crying that Africa has no opportunities and we seek for employment and attention. Really, if we go back to the local language, won't we dig our own grave once again? Transition challenges at higher levels. Even if local languages are used at lower levels, learners struggle when transitioning to English in secondary and tertiary education. This sudden shift negatively affects academic performance and even goes ahead to affect international stages. So those are the sentiments from Nicole. Thank you for your thoughts. Okay, okay, let's go to Ventura, and then I want to share with you guys Nicole's question. Okay, so Ventura, please go ahead. Please keep it short and brief.
Okay, thank you. Vera raised an interesting point here. Well, we should, I mean, invest in producing content in our local language in order to preserve our heritage. You know, our parents, most of them here in Mozambique, they don't speak Portuguese, and Portuguese is still a challenge here. There are a lot of people here in Mozambique who don't study here in Mozambique. They prefer to cross the border to study in Zimbabwe because in Zimbabwe they have the bilingual education system. So I think apart from investing in international language, we should focus in producing content in our local language so that we can preserve our cultural heritage. Let me add one more point. Those local languages are destroyed because of some, how can I say, colonial mindset. I'm reading a book now, and that book emphasized that most of the agenda of the colonial governments was to destroy our language in order to, make us think that we don't have value.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ventura, for your point. It's well noted. Okay, thank you. Okay, so to the teams, I have one last question here for you. Um, it is from Nicole. This one is mostly sent. It's mostly for you, Team Angola, but I think it's important that both teams needs to hear this question. So the question is from Nicole. Since national examinations and higher education are conducted in English, how do you ensure that learners taught in local languages do not experience a decline in academic performance during assessment and transition? So that is the question Nicole has shared with you guys. Sorry. So I will take Luzulu, who will answer this question first, and then Team Ethiopia, and then we need to round off the session. Okay, so Luzulu, go ahead.
Okay. Um, Thank you for the question. This concern is valid, but it's based on the assumption. Yes, I see this as assumption that teaching in local language means isolation. Learners from English, which is not what the motion proposed. Please. I can say that prioritizing local language does not mean eliminating English. We're not talking about eliminating English, French, or Spanish. It means using a phased and structured transition. Learners begin education in a language they understand, while English is introduced gradually as a subject and later as a medium of instruction. So, the solution is not to rush learners into a foreign language, but to build strong foundations. First, because strong foundation lead to better perform in the national examinations and higher education. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Team Ethiopia, your answer to the question, please.
Okay. Okay. The question mostly, the question is goes to Angola, but yeah, to more elaborate more, it says that national examination and higher education are conducted in English. So attorney Luzolo has answered maybe, but to Team Ethiopia's defense. To this question, since mostly forward Angola, there will be an academic isolation. Yari tried to point it out in his early. It was my point number 7. Academic isolation. If African universities solely focus on heavily on local histories, that's kind of cool. But local histories with local language, there will be a divide. So their research will be more niche of their language, so relevance and relevancy with the global community will diminish significantly, and we live in a world of globalization. So such kind of she used rush in her previous statement. Such kind of rush decision might cost Ethiopia as well as Africa as a whole, because we have seen such kind of rash decision in Ethiopia being implemented, and maybe if you have seen, I don't want to mention names, but learning local language, learning local language as mother tongue is kind of good, but still we live in an international community. We always try to be a global citizen, So knowing international language is very much appropriate in my defense. Yeah. Since the question is mostly forward to Angola, just to answer it. One last point, it was my point number 10. Identity, it says that identity is not a curriculum. She tried to, if you have noticed, Lozolo tried to link by saying that Portuguese and English are not my language. It's your language. You are communicating with it. Don't try to link your roots to the language.
Sorry,
Okay?
sorry, Aman. I'm gonna have to cut you there. Your time is up. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So we are almost out of time. We're almost out of time. Sorry. Okay, we have time for one more comment. So Hannes, you're up. Yeah, you can tell us your thoughts. Please keep it short and brief. You have 2 minutes to state your point, please.
Thank you so much, moderator. Yeah, normally I just want to state it as per culture is concerned. Yeah, as far as language is concerned, it is good for us to learn in our local language. Due to the fact, if we look to the European countries, most of them, they speak different languages, but you can go to Poland, you can see the students there, they learn in their local language. Even China, they learn in their local language. This is something we are supposed to implement here, because what I can say is that we've got a lot of researchers. That particular research can find, for example, we say that somebody who discover an atom has discovered it through his or her own language, but the other countries' language expertise, they are translate it to their own local language for their local people to learn through their local language. So here in Africa, we should have to develop such kind of incident. Due to the fact, you can take good example here in Southern Africa. You see, we got Swahili, whatever. Swahili is a dominant language, local language. It is being spoken in various countries here in Southern Africa. So I think we should have to stick to our cultures as well, in order for those Europeans or whatsoever to also respect our cultures. I can give good example of religion as far as it is concerned. Here in Africa, we've got our own religion, but it seems as if nowadays we are now sticking to foreign religions such as Christians, Muslims. Why we are doing those things? Due to the fact that those religions, they've got a detailed or something, a written document, whereas our culture, our practice here, they don't have any written document. So we should have to develop our own cultures through our own language. We can translate those particular development from other researchers. That's my submission.
Okay, thank you, Hannes, for your submission. How much time? Okay, we really need to wrap this up. So to the two teams, I would like you to say your concluding thoughts. Just a 1 minute concluding thoughts. What, from all that has been discussed, what is your concluding thoughts? So I will start with Team Angola. Please keep it short and brief. You have literally 1 minute.
Okay. Okay. Let's go to my last slide. Okay. Can you see my screen?
It is loading. Okay, yes. Go ahead. We have 1 minute.
Okay. Prioritizing our identity in education, it's not rejecting the world, it's preparing Africa to engage with confidently. So, Africa does not need to choose between culture and innovation. We need an education system that respects who we are so we can confidently shape who we will become. For these reasons, African countries should prioritize revising their education system to focus more on local histories, cultures, and language. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Team Ethiopia, your concluding thoughts, please. Same as Team Angola, please keep it short and brief. You have 1 minute to state your concluding thoughts.
Well, Team Ethiopia's concluding point, mostly mine, is we live in a global society, and I try to think myself as a global citizen. And as a global citizen, one must know an international language to communicate with another person. So the learning in an English-based or Western-based curriculum is not that much of an hindrance, rather an opportunity. Adding to that, adding to this Western kind of curriculum, and try to incorporate some kind of local histories might be beneficial for the African continent, but ignoring all possible benefits from the international language and saying that language we are communicating with is not our language is kind of degradatory in my sense. So that's my conclusion as a Team Ethiopia. And yeah, one love, and let's try to be a global citizen. Thank you for the
Okay,
chance.
thank you, thank you, Team Ethiopia. Okay, guys.
Yarid,
Good points.
do you have another point? Yeah, Yarid, كفل.
Okay, we need to cut this short. So sorry, we need to cut this short. So
I put on
yes.
chat. No, it's fine.
Thank you very much, team.
Okay.
It's Dr. Susie speaking. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Zimbabwe. Very convincing arguments. Delighted to be part of it and having listened to it.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Susie. I was about to tell the teams that we are now done with the closing remarks, and we would like you to give your verdict on both teams' points and the presentations shared by both teams. Hello, Dr. Susie, are you there?
Yes, I am. Oh, I'm not going to judge.
No, I'm not going to judge. No.
I think there's so many pros and so many cons. You know, one is good to be international, and the other one, I think pride in your local culture is essential. And the problem is that there's so many different cultures in Africa, and I don't know how you set that up in an education system. So I agree with all of you, and it's a difficult discussion, and that's why it was worth doing. So thank you very much to get the insights from two very interesting teams and perspectives. And thank you for organizing it.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Susie. Thank you, Mr. Tom, for being here and engaging and also sharing your thoughts and also gracing us with your presence. Really means a lot. So thank you for joining in.
Thank you, everybody, for super well presented arguments. Well done. Wish you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good time. Bye-bye.
Okay. So Yared says African countries should strengthen cultural and historical education, but not make it the central priority of curriculum reform. The priority should remain quality, relevance, and global competitiveness, with culture serving as a supportive, not a dominant element. Okay, thank you, Yared, for your point. Okay, so from Rwandi is from Mozambique. So she says, I think African countries must prioritize education systems that reflect their own histories, cultures, and languages. When learners are taught in familiar languages and see their identities valued in the classroom, they understand better, learn faster, and grow more confident. Revising the curriculum does not mean rejecting global knowledge. Instead, it means building strong foundations rooted in who we are so we can engage the world from a position of strength. An education system that ignores its people's identity cannot fully serve them. Therefore, by embracing our local histories, cultures, and languages, we are not limiting Africa's future, we are empowering it. Okay, thank you, Luandi, for your point. Okay, so let us, okay, how much time we have? Okay, let's go to Marian firstly. Yes, Marian? Hello, Miriam, are you there? Okay, let's go to Good Luck. Okay, let us.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining today's debate. I really learned a lot, but I would say I'm not opposing, neither am I against the motion. What I'm trying to say is, if you learn a particular curriculum in your language and you understand it very well in your language, and you go into the international community, how do you communicate that particular knowledge you have? There will be language barrier. That is one. And two, when something is taught in a general language, I'm arguing from the two perspectives. When something is taught in a general language and the student don't understand, is it worth learning? So we have to balance up the two. If we are teaching in our local languages, let's teach. But let us also understand that there's something we call a global recognized language. Yes, the student should understand the curriculum if you are using the general language, but also make them understand it better. So what I'm trying to say is, when we are using the two, let's integrate the two of them together. If some curriculum will be taught in the local language, because you can't tell me that you want to teach science, you are teaching it in your local language. So there are some scientific names that you don't have in your traditional or local languages. How do you communicate that to the student? How do you tell them in your own local languages? I think most of the issues we face when it comes to science and technology and engineering is all the scientific terminologies. You can't easily communicate them in African languages, most of them. So if we are using the two, we should integrate the two properly, not recognizing only one. I think that is only what I have to say for today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good luck. Okay, let's go to Luandi. Hello, Luandi, are you there?
Oh, hi. Hi, moderator. No, I had raised my hand for the comment that I made on the chat, so I'd forgotten to.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Let's go to Nicole. Nicole, your thoughts?
Thank you so much, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Um, Thank you so much for today's motion. I actually enjoyed the debate a lot. And I just want to answer what Hannes said. He gave an example of China learning in Chinese, in their language. He gave an example of Portugal and those various countries. But then I don't know why that we don't seem to understand the difference between the difference between the countries that side and then the African countries. I'm going to give an example of my own country. We have been there before. Uganda does not have and we do not have actually a national language. We have an official language. Why don't we have a national language? Because we have very many languages. I mean, we just cannot even resolve and maybe say let's use Luganda as the national language because it's going to cause a lot of commotion. It's going to come with a lot. So at the end of the day, I also stand to the same resolution that yes, we may not really go back to the local languages and etc, but at least we can try. We can just try to adopt them along the way, maybe through learning them from our families and etc. But whether we like it or not, we're not going to run away from the new system that we have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Okay, let's take one more person and then we close off. Okay, yes, Miriam, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, CPA, and thanks to both teams. Valid points that you all have raised, but I think I stand with the motion or the ideas that have been going around, which is having a balance with this, because if we do not have a balance, actually, it will be difficult for us to cooperate or partner with the international market. And that is what we need. Because Africa, though the Europeans, they colonized us and took away some things of us away, but they've helped us with the official language, which is English. Because an example is, let me use my country for an example, Ghana. Our official language is English. We have a lot of local languages, almost 100. Even in my own, let me say, my own ethnic group I'm coming from, we have almost like 10 languages there, and I can only speak 2 out of it. So if we don't have this official language, English is the common language. When you get to another city in Ghana, you are able to communicate with another person. Even in my own country, English is what makes it easy for me to communicate with another citizen in another city. So it should be balanced. We shouldn't just say, let's start our education with our local language. It's very important. I think that's why we have local languages as part of our curriculums. When we are during our primary education in Ghana, we have some local languages we do teach, and we give students options to learn those languages. However, other subjects or curriculums like science, mathematics, environment, all those things are taught in English, which is very important. So both great points raised. We shouldn't wash off culture and language because it's important. It's brilliant, and many people, even from I learned China and other people in the European side, are even learning how to speak some local languages. So it's like a balanced thing. They want to learn our language because when they come here, they want to communicate with us in our own language, and we also, because we want to be able to fit in their system and learn what they are doing to better the African continent, we also need to learn that language and communicate with them well for the partnership we both want to create to succeed. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miriam. Okay, let's go to concluding thoughts. So for me personally, I think we should include our local languages into the curricula. What's the point of a child going to school if they're just only learning English and not their mother tongue? Sure, yes, it can. Like learning your African language should start at home. Should definitely start at home. But also that language that you are learning at home, you must apply it to everyday scenarios. You must apply it to science and maths, for example. Granted, science and maths only has terms that are in English, fine. But we can also turn that into our own local language. That way the student will learn and understand it in their language. So if we kind of translate it into local language, then they'll be able to understand it much faster and then also apply it to general life. So I'm on the side of yes, African countries should definitely prioritize revising the education systems. And also, we have learned so much about the West that we have forgotten our culture. And it's very sad that now, when you look back, you were learning history, but were you learning your history, your country's history? You were learning the West's history, not your history. So it's, I think, very important that it should be a part of the curriculum, definitely. Okay, how much time? Okay, let's squeeze in one more from Luandi, and we really need to stop. So, Luandi, a quick one, brief and short.
Yes, Keelan, and I will try my best to be very brief and short. So, our education as Africans must reflect our African realities. And by prioritizing local histories, cultures, and languages, we strengthen our identity and we improve the learning outcomes that come with it and preserve the valuable knowledge systems. In political science, we normally study the past, we study history to be able to remedy the present and fix or provide solutions for the future. So rather than isolating learners, a culturally grounded education equips them to participate confidently in the global world. Because in the end, true progress lies in balancing global knowledge with strong local foundations. That way, we can benchmark solutions, global solutions, which can be applied to our reality by knowing what our reality is and where we come from as a community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So basically, to sum up everything that was shared, on one side, prioritizing local histories, cultures, and languages can empower communities, preserve heritage, and keep up with the global times and improve learner engagement. But then on the other side, maintaining global competitiveness and international communication remains essential in an interconnected world. So basically, this debate highlights a critical balancing act for African nations. A hybrid educational module can integrate indigenous knowledge alongside global academic standards, which may provide the most sustainable and inclusive solution for African countries to move forward. Because at the end of the day, we want a country to move forward, to be able to preserve the Africanness and be able to speak the language, while also you can speak your language globally and also learning English so that you can communicate with those people outside of the African country and they can communicate with you. Or just so that we can develop and progress as a country and as Africa as a whole. So that is today's topic for Red Debates. Thank you so much for your thoughts and your perspectives on this. It's been really insightful.